Y'all ain't gonna believe what's happening right now in the rap game. The FBI just leaked King Von's final phone call, and let me tell you, the streets are losing it. Lil Durk's name, it gets mentioned 47 times. 47 in one call, y'all seen that? I'm talking about a voice so calm it chills you to the bone, but every word drips with warning, betrayal, and the kind of knowledge only someone living the streets would carry. In this call, you can hear Von pacing in the background, doors clicking, faint traffic outside, like he's weighing every syllable before it hits the line. He's talking to someone we can't fully hear, but the tone, the pauses, the repetition of Durk's name, man, it hits like a headline we weren't ready for. Every mention is loaded, like he's leaving a breadcrumb trail for the people who really pay attention. And the way he says it, it's not accusation, it's observation, it's history, it's warning. The streets are buzzing, Twitter is blown up, and the forums are dissecting every second. People are overlaying timestamps with old footage, Von in the Escalade, rooftop studio shots, backstage videos from Chicago shows, and piecing together a story that feels half legend, half confession. But here's the thing, it's way deeper than it looks. The call doesn't just hint at beef or betrayal, it's a map. A map of loyalty, money, respect, and danger. And whoever's listening right now knows that this isn't just about music anymore, it's about who survives, who leads, and who really controls the streets. I'm gonna break it all down for y'all, the relationships, the history, the escalation, the arguments, and that final moment that changed everything. What you're about to hear might make you question everything you thought you knew about Von, Durk, and the world they moved in. And trust me, once we get into it, you'll see the full picture, and it's darker than anyone imagined. Y'all ain't gonna believe what's happening right now in the rap game. I mean, the FBI just leaked King Von's final phone call, and the streets, they're shaking. Lil Durk's name, it gets mentioned 47 times, 47 in one call, y'all seen that. I'm talking about a voice so calm, so measured, it's almost haunting, but every word hits like a warning shot. Like he's leaving a map, a ledger, a blueprint for the people who really pay attention. The kind of stuff that's half truth, half legend, but it feels all real. Let me tell you what really went down. You can hear Von pacing in the background, doors clicking, faint traffic humming outside, maybe the occasional distant siren. The kind of ambient sound that makes you feel like you're right there with him. He's talking to someone we can't fully hear, but the tone, the inflection, the repetition, it tells the story. And man, the way he says Durk's name, it ain't an accusation. It's not even anger. It's observation, calculation, almost like he's counting the pieces on a chessboard before the checkmate drops. Every mention carries weight. Every pause is a warning. The first thing you notice is how methodical he is. The call starts calm, casual, almost like he's checking in. But by the third minute, the tension builds. He's recounting interactions, past meetings, little betrayals, things people never noticed. He drops lines like, "They smiling too much, can't trust smiles," and "Durk, he know the streets better than most, but he ain't see this coming." Every sentence feels deliberate, like he's making sure the person on the other end understands exactly what's real and what's fiction in this game. And the streets, they're dissecting it. Snippets of the audio start appearing on Twitter, forums, private Instagram threads, people overlaying timestamps, video footage, even lyrics from old songs. It's like the call unlocked a hidden archive of street knowledge. Y'all seen the Escalade footage? The black SUV parked under the rooftop studio lights, smoke curling through the night air. Von pacing, hoodie zipped tight, phone pressed to his ear. In one clip, you can almost see him calculating every step, every glance around him. It's subtle, but for people who understand Chicago streets, every movement, every pause, it's a message. You feel the tension, the paranoia, the focus. It's like watching a general surveying a battlefield before the first shot is fired. And it ain't just about the visuals or the leaks. It's about the content, the psychology. Listen to the way Von says, "I'm countin', every move, every word." 47 mentions of Durk in one conversation ain't casual. It's obsession, but not in the crazy way. It's precision. It's a ledger of loyalty. It's a map of who can be trusted, who can't, and who might be playing both sides. And in the streets, that's currency. More valuable than money, more valuable than fame. Because when loyalty fails, everything else falls apart. Then there's the energy of fear beneath it. Not the panic you'd expect, no screaming, no yelling. It's calm, almost eerie. A sense of awareness that something bigger is moving behind the scenes. Von's words drip with that knowledge. The setups, the quiet betrayals, the missteps that could cost lives. Every time he mentions Durk, it's like he's measuring responsibility, gauging reaction, and leaving instructions for the future. People are calling it prophetic. Some say it's genius, others say it's tragic, and maybe it's both. Social media exploded the moment snippets leaked. Twitter threads with timestamps, Reddit forums linking old interviews, YouTube clips stitched with Von's words. The streets went into overdrive. One post broke down 1 minute and 42 seconds of the call, highlighting every Durk mention, every pause, every huh or check this. Fans were drawing parallels with old footage, with lyrics, even with obscure DMS that people had saved. It became part conspiracy, part digital vigil, part memorial, and all of it spun around that one repeated name, Lil Durk, 47 times, y'all, 47. It's like a drum beat pounding over and over, forcing the listener to reckon with the gravity of the relationship, the stakes, and the inevitable fallout. But here's what most people don't get. This call, it ain't just a beef story. It ain't gossip, it's a street-level manual on trust, leadership, and survival. Von is teaching without preaching, he's documenting without exposing, and he's leaving breadcrumbs for anyone willing to pay attention. The repetition of Durk's name is deliberate, a signpost pointing to lessons about loyalty, respect, and the hidden mechanics of the game. The streets feel it, the internet feels it, and you watching this are about to feel it too. Now imagine listening to that call while watching old studio footage, the escalade under dim streetlights, the smoke drifting, Von walking past the camera with that intensity only he had. You hear his voice calm but deadly, laying out moves, naming names, reflecting on betrayal, fear, and ambition. You start piecing it together, the relationships, the history, the money, the crew loyalty, the family ties, it's all in there. And it hits you, this story, this one call, is way deeper than it looks. It's about the tension between brotherhood and business, street code and survival, ambition and consequence. And here's the kicker, you start hearing things in the background. Subtle clicks, faint voices, a distant laugh, maybe someone walking past. It's like the city itself is eavesdropping. Analysts are slowing it down, listening frame by frame, second by second. Every background sound is analyzed for context, for meaning, and the more people listen, the more they realize Von knew. He knew what was coming, he knew who could be trusted, and he was leaving a record, a ledger, a testament. Y'all need to understand this, the streets aren't just watching, they're learning. The family isn't just grieving, they're listening, piecing together every word. The industry isn't just reacting, they're calculating implications. This phone call. It's the kind of material that changes how people see loyalty, power, and survival in the rap game. And that's why everyone's talking. That's why forums are lit. That's why the leaked audio spreads faster than any official statement ever could. Because it's raw, it's real, and it's exactly the kind of insight only comes from someone who lived what he's talking about. And here's where it gets even more intense. The call doesn't end with accusations or threats, it ends with reflection. Von is thinking out loud, he's weighing consequences, noting patterns, and maybe, just maybe, leaving evidence behind. His voice drops slightly, pauses, and then he says something almost chilling. They'll know when it's too late. And just like that, the streets, the fans, and even insiders feel it, the gravity of what he's documenting and what might come next. So when I say this story is way deeper than it looks, I mean it. This ain't just a phone call. This is a blueprint, a confession, a cautionary tale, and a map of streets, studios, and loyalty all rolled into one. And in the chapters that follow, we're gonna unpack it all, the history, the escalation, the betrayals, the heartbreak, the paranoia, and the lessons. By the time we're done, you'll understand why this call shook the streets, the fans, the family, and the entire rap game. And trust me, it ain't over yet. Y'all remember how I said this story is way deeper than it looks. Well, now we gotta peel back the layers. See, the phone call wasn't just a leak, it was a window into a world most people don't get to see. A world where loyalty is currency, silence is survival, and one slip can cost everything. Von wasn't just talking to a friend that day, he was documenting a ledger, naming names, weighing consequences, and recording the tension that had been building for months. Let's start with the foundation. Chicago, O-Block. It ain't just a place, it's a system, a network, a world with rules that outsiders can't touch. Von and Durk's relationship started years before the fame, long before the cameras, before the labels, before the tour. They came up together, watched each other's backs, shared money, shared danger, shared the streets. Von looked up to Durk not just as a friend, but as a mentor, someone who had survived the same storms he was walking into. But here's the thing about brotherhood in the streets, it's fragile. Fragile as glass, sharp as a knife, and once broken, it cuts deep. Von was rising fast in the rap game, but he wasn't naive. He knew fame brought scrutiny. Every move, every studio session, every handshake could be watched. That's why in the leaked phone call, you hear him say things like, "They smiling too much, I can't trust smiles." That line might sound simple, but for anyone who's lived what Von lived, it's a warning. It's instinct, it's observation. He's not just reacting to music business politics, he's reading human behavior. The FBI transcript even notes subtle pauses, times when he repeats Durk's name, almost like a rhythm, a pattern to mark importance. Things escalated fast, small leaks, whispers in DMS, fans noticing inconsistencies in social media posts. Von texts a crew member, "Bro said it's all love, but actions say different." In the streets, that line hits like a code. The words aren't casual, they're red flags. The call captures him weighing every person, every loyalty, every potential betrayal. 47 times he says Durk's name, and each time it carries a different weight, sometimes caution, sometimes observation, sometimes sorrow. There's footage that leaked shortly after, showing Von outside a downtown studio. The black Escalade under the dim streetlights, smoke drifting, hoodie zipped tight, phone pressed to his ear. Reconstructed dialogue from insiders paints the scene. "You said what? I told you about my respect." "Nah, this ain't over, bro." That's street code spilling into life. Respect is everything. Pride is survival. Von knew that, and he also knew when it was being tested. The calm, measured delivery in the call shows a man calculating, analyzing, and documenting without losing composure. He's leaving a record for someone, somewhere, maybe for family, maybe for the streets, maybe for history. Then comes the turning point. The FBI transcript captures a segment where Von pauses, breathes, and reflects. "I trusted too much, too many smiles that night," he says. And in the background, faint city sounds, the hum of traffic, distant sirens, footsteps. It's almost cinematic, the kind of detail that makes you feel like you're standing next to him, listening to someone laying bare the truth of his world. In that moment, you can hear emotion seeping through. Not panic, not rage, but awareness and sorrow. He's acknowledging mistakes, he's weighing consequences, he's counting who's real and who's faking. The call isn't just a confession, it's a manual on loyalty, leadership, and human behavior in the streets. Von is showing that in a world where money, fame, and danger intersect, observation is survival. And the internet. Man, they blew up. Twitter threads broke down every second of the call, highlighting each Durk mention, each pause, each subtle inflection. Reddit forums mapped old interviews, old studio clips, even old DMS against the phone call. Fans started overlaying Escalade footage from shows, comparing Von's movements to his words. Some even noted subtle hand gestures and shifts in posture as clues to his state of mind. The streets were reading the call like a textbook because, in a way, that's exactly what it was. But here's where the emotional stakes deepen. This ain't just a music story, it's a human story. Leaked private audio from family members surfaced later, showing grief, disbelief, and anger. Von's cousin whispers in one clip, "He trusted too much, how could they let this happen?" Another voice, trembling. "This ain't just rap, this is betrayal at the deepest level." The leaked phone call becomes more than a recording, it becomes a mirror of trauma, reflecting not just Von's mindset but the emotional fallout for everyone tied to him. And don't forget the psychological element. Von's repeated mentions of Durk aren't just about blame, they're about measurement, assessment, and survival. He's counting moves, evaluating reactions, noting patterns. The FBI transcript even marks moments where his tone changes slightly, indicating emotional weight. Every Durk carries context, trust, worry, respect, calculation, 47 times. And each one tells a story within the story. The call also captures the tension between ambition and survival. Von talks about money, success, tour, and fame, but he's always measuring against loyalty and respect. "Money don't make it right, respect does," he says. It's a lesson in human behavior. It's a cautionary tale about how ambition can blind even the sharpest eyes and how trust can be tested in subtle, devastating ways. And here's the part people don't realize. Von is teaching without preaching. Every pause, every repeated name, every quiet reflection is a lesson in psychology, leadership, and street survival. The FBI leak wasn't just a record, it's a study in the dynamics of power, loyalty, and fear. The streets feel it. The fans feel it. Even outsiders listening closely can't help but recognize the intelligence behind it. By the end of the call, the listener can feel the weight of history pressing down. Von isn't just recounting events, he's documenting a reality where betrayal is always possible, even from the people closest to you. The energy is tense, the mood reflective, almost tragic. It's clear why people are calling this call prophetic. He's recording patterns, noting behaviors, leaving breadcrumbs, and warning anyone who listens carefully. And that's just the start. The next chapters are gonna unpack how the tension escalated in real time, how arguments, betrayals, and subtle manipulations played out. We'll see how Vaughn's emotional intelligence clashed with street paranoia, how loyalty fractured under pressure, and how those 47 mentions of Durk become a thread running through a web of intrigue, power, and danger. Every chapter after this builds on that ledger Vaughn kept in his voice, every pause, every repetition, every word carrying weight. The streets aren't just observing, they're learning. The family isn't just mourning, they're analyzing. And the industry isn't just reporting, they're calculating. Because Vaughn's final phone call isn't a simple leak, it's a lesson, a warning, and a blueprint for survival in a world where trust is rare and betrayal is everywhere. And once we dive into the chapters ahead, y'all will see why this story shook the streets, the internet, the family, and the entire hip-hop world. And it's far from over. The calm before the storm is where the storm hits. This is where relationships fray, trust breaks, and the stakes escalate to the point where every move feels like life or death. Y'all gotta understand, in Vaughn's world, one wrong word, one glance, one move in the wrong place could flip everything. And that's exactly what the leaked call started revealing. It begins with small things, almost invisible unless you're paying attention. Texts misread, DMs ignored, studio sessions that end abruptly. One snippet from the FBI transcript has Vaughn saying, "Bro said he got my back, but he duckin'," when the cameras roll. Just that line's simple words, but loaded. The paranoia, the disappointment, the anticipation of betrayal, it's all there. Fans dissect it, analysts replay it frame by frame, looking for clues. Then comes the confrontation. Footage leaked from a Chicago rooftop session shows Vaughn stepping out of a black Escalade, hoodie tight, headphones around his neck, pacing. Reconstructed dialogue from insiders adds context. "You said what?" "I told you about my respect." "Nah, this ain't over, bro. Check yourself, don't let smiles fool you." Every word carries weight. Respect isn't just a word in these streets, it's survival. Pride is currency. Vaughn is careful, calculating, but the tension is palpable. You can feel the frustration in his steps, the intensity in his eyes. The camera captures his hands, twitching slightly like he's measuring the world around him, preparing for every possible outcome. The call itself escalates the drama. Vaughn mentions Durk constantly, but now the tone shifts. It's not just observational, it's reflective, almost disappointed. He recounts past meetings, studio sessions, casual conversations that now feel like setups. One line stands out: "I trusted too many smiles, thought loyalty was solid, but the pieces move different." And every repetition of Durk's name seems to mark a chapter of betrayal. 47 times, y'all, 47. And it ain't overstatement, it's a ledger, a record, a warning. The escalation isn't just about words. Street insiders reveal that Vaughn noticed small changes. Crew members showing up late, minor disagreements in the studio, even subtle shifts in social media posts. He calls out discrepancies in tone and timing in the leaked phone call. "They text in at night, acting casual, but eyes say different." In other words, Vaughn is analyzing behavior like a general studying troop movements before battle. Then comes the twist. A newly leaked snippet of audio, time-stamped just days before the incident, shows Vaughn speaking quietly, almost to himself. "If they move like that, they ain't loyal. Durk, you know what's real, but they'll test you anyway." That moment changes everything. The call isn't just documenting past events, it's forecasting, predicting, almost anticipating betrayal before it happens. It's a blueprint for survival, but also a confession of fear. Vaughn is aware that danger is coming from multiple directions, not just outside threats, but from the inside. And the streets, they feel it. Forums light up, analysts overlay old footage, trying to identify who they could be. And then there's the argument leaked between Vaughn and a crew member, reconstructed from snippets and insider reports. "You said what?" "I told you about my respect." "Nah, this ain't over, bro. You think this is a game? This is everything we built." That's not just a spat, that's trust being tested, ego clashing with loyalty, fear pressing on pride. Vaughn's measured calm in the leaked call contrasts with the tension in these confrontations. He's always aware, always watching, always documenting. It's a masterclass in street psychology. As the story escalates, the city itself seems to become part of the narrative. Street chatter, social media speculation, leaked DM screenshots, and private audio all collide. The tension spreads from O-Block to every corner of Chicago, every online forum, every fan thread. Von's words about Durk aren't just personal, they're symbolic of the fragility of loyalty in a world fueled by money, fame, and danger. Then comes the first shocking twist. A new player appears, a shadow figure in Von's narrative who had previously been invisible. Insiders hint at a crew member, someone trusted, who may have fed information to outside parties. The leaked call references them indirectly. They whisper, eyes everywhere, can't tell friend from foe. The subtlety is chilling. It's not just about rivalry anymore, it's about betrayal within the circle, within the family, within the people Von trusted most. This twist deepens with an overlay of visuals. Leaked studio footage shows a minor crew member repeatedly glancing at their phone, stepping away during conversations, acting unusually tense. Fans notice a pattern. Every time Von pauses, that crew member reacts. It's subtle but enough for speculation. Analysts overlay the leaked call timestamps with footage. Suddenly, the narrative of betrayal lines up like a storyboard. Von's predictions, his observations, his warnings, they start to feel prophetic. The emotional beat hits next. Von's words about loyalty and betrayal resonate like a drumbeat. Money don't make it right, respect does, he says in the call. And here, the weight is heavy. He's not just analyzing behavior, he's reflecting on the cost of ambition, the heartbreak of distrust, the vulnerability even someone as street smart as him faces. The call is almost a moral document, a study in human behavior, and a cautionary tale wrapped in calm, measured words. Then comes the tension between ambition and survival. Von reflects on tour, contracts, rising fame, and the risk of visibility. Every success carries scrutiny, every handshake might hide danger. He notes the inconsistencies. Crew members texting at odd hours, studio interactions that feel rehearsed, conversations that repeat oddly. In the streets, these are signs, signals, warnings. Von is reading the code, documenting it, leaving breadcrumbs, almost as if he knew the consequences of missing even the smallest detail. And here's where it gets even deeper. The FBI transcript captures Von speculating on intentions. Durk, I know you see it too, but some moves, they can't be stopped. The repetition of Durk's name, the phrasing, the pauses all indicate the gravity. 47 times he mentions Durk. Every time, it's a reflection on trust, strategy, and survival. Every time, it's a breadcrumb for anyone paying attention. The call becomes a tapestry of street intelligence, psychological insight, and moral reflection, all wrapped into a few tense minutes. The first shocking twist closes with Von reflecting on the past. Meetings, contracts, minor betrayals, subtle manipulations. The FBI transcript marks a pause where he sighs almost to himself. I'm counting every move, every word before it counts against me. And just like that, the streets, the fans, and the family realize this isn't just documentation. It's foresight, it's a warning. It's a ledger of who's real, who's fake, and who's moving like predators among friends. So as we leave this part of the story, remember, Von's call is more than a leak. It's a lens into a world where ego, pride, money, and loyalty collide. It's where small actions carry life-altering consequences and one misstep can cost everything. The first shocking twist, the shadow figure, the internal betrayal, the subtle warnings, is only the beginning. The ledger of 47 mentions of Durk becomes a thread through a web of intrigue, danger, and the ultimate test of loyalty. And the streets, they're already dissecting, analyzing, learning from it. Because in this world, knowledge is survival, and Von just handed a masterclass. So y'all thought the first twist was intense? Nah, this next part, it flips the entire narrative on its head. The streets already buzzing about Von's call, the 47 mentions of Durk, the leaked Escalade footage, but what nobody expected was the shadow player stepping fully into view. Someone who had been there all along, moving quietly, whispering, observing, and suddenly, the ledger starts looking a lot bigger than we thought. It starts with a subtle clue. In the leaked call, Von pauses, breaths shift, and he mutters almost under his breath, "They got eyes everywhere, don't think it ain't real." Most people missed it, but insiders say this wasn't about an outsider. It was about someone inside the circle, someone who had been trusted. Fans start piecing it together. Studio footage shows a minor crew member glancing at their phone repeatedly, stepping away at odd times, sometimes laughing quietly while Von is serious. Analysts overlay timestamps from the call and the footage. The patterns align. Suddenly, this crew member isn't just a background figure, they're a central player in what's shaping up to be a web of betrayal. The tension spikes when Vaughn mentions Durk again, but this time there's a subtle edge, less calculation, more frustration, almost a hint of disappointment. Durk, you see what's happening, right? They testing everything. The 47th mention isn't the last, it's part of a crescendo. Every repetition builds weight, each one a ledger entry, a record of observation, and a warning. But here's the thing. The call also shows Vaughn analyzing outside forces, beyond Chicago, beyond the immediate circle. He drops hints about industry pressure, label politics, and the way fame can attract predators disguised as friends. And then comes the second major twist. A leaked snippet reveals a coded message from another rapper, someone not even tied directly to O-Block. In the background, faint words can be heard, almost like a reply to Vaughn's observations. Watch the ones closest, don't let smiles fool you, they move in, quiet. Street insiders say this was a warning, someone external alerting Vaughn to an internal problem. The call now reads like a conversation across networks, a web of signals and cues. Vaughn's reflections show he's aware of these subtleties, but also that he can't fully trust anyone. The tension is electric. It's a trap, a chess game, and Vaughn is both player and pawn. Then the visuals add another layer. Leaked studio footage shows Vaughn reviewing something on his phone late at night. The black Escalade parked outside, hoodie tight, smoke swirling in the cold air. Someone whispers, "Bro, you see that?" Camera shakes slightly. Insiders reconstruct the dialogue. "They got more eyes than we thought, it ain't just the circle. Nah, it's bigger than us." The fear, the calculation, the moral weight, it's all there. Vaughn knows the stakes, but he's methodical. He documents, he observes, he prepares. And in that preparation, the streets see a blueprint of survival, betrayal, and leadership all at once. The emotional stakes escalate too. Leaked family audio surfaces again, Vaughn's cousin trembling, saying, "He always said money don't make it right, respect does, but who can you trust?" The reflection is chilling because Vaughn knew exactly what was at risk. The second twist isn't just about betrayal, it's about the fragility of trust in multiple directions. Inside the crew, outside the circle, across the city, even in the industry. Every move is being watched, every word is being measured, and Vaughn's ledger of 47 Durk mentions is a map of that tension. And then comes the confrontation layered in whispers. Reconstructed dialogue from insiders paints a tense picture. "You think this is just rap beef? This is everything we built. I'm telling you, they move in quiet, can't ignore it. Durk, you see it too, right?" Each line is weighted with paranoia, observation, and strategic calculation. Vaughn isn't angry, he's aware, he's documenting. He's analyzing the psychology of everyone around him, noting every subtle shift. The second major twist isn't a loud explosion, it's subtle, strategic, and deeply dangerous. It's someone moving behind the scenes who could shift everything. The call also reveals Vaughn's thoughts on loyalty versus ambition. He mentions tour, contracts, industry negotiations, and how each decision must be measured against street code. "Money don't make it right, respect does," he repeats. But now the repetition feels like preparation for confrontation, a shield against betrayal. It's a lesson in leadership, how to navigate networks of trust where one misstep can cost everything. And social media. Y'all already know it's exploded. Fans overlay clips, timelines, DM screenshots, forum threads. The shadow player, the external warning, the repeated mentions of Durk, they're all being dissected frame by frame. People notice micro-expressions, subtle hand gestures, shifts in tone, even background noises. The streets are reading it like a textbook, and each revelation adds tension. Here's the kicker. Insiders say there's another minor betrayal hidden in the call, almost imperceptible. Vaughn references someone indirectly, never naming names, but the description is precise. They smile, they nod, but eyes tell a different story, can't trust shadows. That line alone sent fans and analysts into a frenzy. Overlaying timestamps, studio footage, social media posts, everything points to someone close, someone trusted, someone moving quietly while Vaughn was counting every move. The ledger grows, the tension thickens, and the audience begins to realize Vaughn wasn't just documenting betrayal, he was predicting it. Then comes a reflective moment. Vaughn's voice, calm, almost weary, says, "If they see me, see this, they'll know when it's too late." It's almost poetic, a mix of foresight and warning, a meditation on trust, survival, and the cost of ambition. And for the streets, the family, and the fans, it's devastating. Not just for what happened, but for the clarity and precision with which Vaughn documented everything. So as this chapter closes, the second major twist is clear. New players, subtle betrayals, coded warnings from outside, and internal paranoia all converge. The streets are watching, the family is analyzing, the internet is dissecting, and the call itself has become a blueprint for loyalty, survival, and the psychology of betrayal. The Ledger of 47 Durk mentions threads through everything, tying together past actions, present observations, and future implications. And just when you think it's over, the tension isn't just alive, it's escalating, ready for the next confrontation. The call, the footage, the whispers, the warnings, they all come together in a web so intricate that even outsiders feel the gravity. Vaughn's words, repeated, deliberate, cautious, are more than documentation, they're a moral and psychological map. And as the streets keep analyzing, as the fans keep overlaying timelines, one question lingers. Who really moved first, who was testing who, and who will pay the price for misreading the game? The second major twist doesn't just complicate the story, it deepens it. Loyalty, respect, survival, ambition, betrayal, they all collide. Vaughn's final words, layered with observation, warning, and reflection, make it clear that in the streets and the industry, nothing is simple, nothing is accidental, and every action has consequences. And just like that, the stage is set for the fallout. The public, emotional, and legal chaos that explodes after the call, after the revelations, after the betrayals become impossible to ignore. The second major twist isn't just about a person, it's about a system of trust breaking under pressure, and the world is about to feel it. Y'all just witnessed a story that's bigger than music. It's bigger than fame. It's bigger than O'Block or Chicago streets. Vaughn's call, those 47 mentions of Durk, the leaks, the shadows moving in the background, it's all a lesson in trust, loyalty, and survival. A reminder that even in a world of cameras, contracts, and clout, respect is the only currency that matters, and it ain't given, it's earned. Look, I don't want to just tell you what happened, I want you to feel it. Feel the tension, the heartbreak, the strategy. Imagine yourself in Vaughn's shoes, observing, documenting, calculating, weighing every move of the people closest to you. Because that's exactly what he did. And now the streets, the fans, the family, even the industry, they're all watching, analyzing, debating. And you're part of that conversation now. So I gotta ask y'all, what do you think? Was Vaughn right to observe and call it out the way he did? Was the trust broken, or was it a misunderstanding? Who do you think was the shadow moving quietly behind the scenes? And the 47 mentions of Durk, is there a message we still ain't fully seen yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Break it down, theorize, debate, and don't hold back, because this story isn't over and every perspective matters. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because the next episode, it's going even deeper. We'll unpack the fallout, the family reactions, the legal chaos, and maybe, just maybe, reveal more pieces of the puzzle that nobody else is talking about. Remember, this ain't just hip-hop news. This is a street-level documentary on loyalty, power, and survival. Your voice matters in the conversation. So comment, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because the story is far from over, and trust me, the next chapter is gonna change everything you thought you knew.